The boredom latches onto me. It is daylight, 81 degrees. I should be outside, enjoying the breeze, but I've been hiding in these same sheets for weeks. Well, I say to you, let's go back to bed, 'cause there are some things that are better left unsaid. Oh. Well, this medication's strong, and if you didn't know, I guess you always have to try before you know. You say come here, love, but it'll be fine. Just come play with me. You're in reality. I said it's only a dream. It's only a dream. I wish you could somehow complete me. I will give it to you all now, but I kinda lost my key. I've been hiding, but I kinda lost the dream. I've been hiding, but I kinda lost the dream. Well, this medication's strong, and if you know, I guess you always have to try before you know. You say come here, love, well, it'll be fine. Just talk to me. Not in reality. It's only a dream.
Starting tomorrow, I'll look everyone in the eye. Starting tomorrow. Until we accept reality, we can't make any progress. A lot of people have done so much for me, but
Nej,
I no longer believe in myself.
nej,
Will I make it
nej,
on my own?
nej.
Am I capable of great things alone?
Nej,
Take my hand and hold it tight, be my guide. It's getting hard to see in this darkness on my own. Take my hand, hold on tight. Take my hand as we make our way slowly to the unknown. Take my hand, I think my vision's finally clearing up. So hold on tight,
nej,
hold on
nej.
tight. I can make it
Nej,
on my own.
nej,
I am capable of great things alone.
nej.
Take my hand and hold it tight. Stay here at my side. But if you let go, I think I'll be just fine.
Vadå?
What? There's nothing wrong.
Joe. Tell me what's wrong. Joe. Tell me what's wrong. Joe. Tell me what's wrong. Joe. Tell me what's wrong. Joe. Tell me what's wrong. Joe. Tell me what's wrong.
Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. adventure. Oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. Oh yeah. What's up, guys? What's shaking? Yeah. It is I, Mary Mitch, and welcome to another edition of Story Time with me. Arkimbop, it's super good to see ya. Also, P-Dubs, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you. This is one of my favorite hats. I've been having a bad hair day, so I figured I'd toss on the toboggan of shame. But heck yeah, if you could tell from the start there, if you type in !better, you can see all the Better TTV emotes that I have active on the stream. I added in Party Kirby, and I added in the cat one that you guys wanted. I'm sure your hair looks good. Well, you know, maybe it does. No, it's real flat on top of my head. If I wear a hat for too long. I was wearing this hat here. Whenever I wear this one especially, like, it flattens my hair to my head. It sort of does that. It flattens it, but then it, like, flips up, so I look like a peacock of some kind. But regardless, how's everybody doing? How are you feeling? Did you wake up feeling good? Was it a day that started off poorly and ended up better than you expected? Or was it one that you expected a lot from and wound up disappointing you? Any number of options. I hope it's been more better than worse, though. I know it's important to strike a balance, but I hope we get more good than bad. Well, I'm gonna take from the ditto that things are going well. My day has been good. I slept far longer than I wanted to, but I got up, I got myself a going, and did my darndest to make the most of the day. I had an excellent breakfast, the best breakfast I've had in a long time. I actually made myself eggs for the first time in a while, and some apricot jam toast. It's some really good jam. Honest to goodness, once I finally tried apricot jam, I can't go back. Can't go back to like strawberry and grape. What kind of eggs? I did fried eggs. I'm a fried egg kind of guy. I don't do the scramble too often. Especially, I kind of failed this morning at getting them exactly how I like them. That's because it's kind of difficult. I know, like, the fried eggs that I like are the over easy-ish. Just to the point where, like, they're fried enough to where it's like a solid texture, but there's a runny interior. A man of culture. You know it, dudes. You know it. Oh, I don't know if I've seen that ant emoji before. The Xenom one. But heck yeah. Today, we have a few more chapters to be a reading. I do need to hop off right at the 10 o'clock marker, so I'm hoping we can get through all the chapters that I wanted to get through tonight, but if we don't, just know that I gotta bounce right at 10. What should tonight's cocktail be? Pineapple. Just a whole pineapple put in a cocktail glass. I don't know. I'm not the one to ask. I don't really know anything about cocktails. Unless you're talking about chicken tails. Huh? Or rooster tails. Because I do know about those. I also know about... No, I won't say that one. It's not this is not appropriate for Twitch. My bad. I have frozen pineapple and strawberries. I could make smoothie. Heck yeah, dude. Go make yourself a smoothie. I'm thinking I might make myself a smoothie after this. Because I need to use up the rest of my bananas. Yesterday, I did a strawberry banana smoothie for the first time in a while. So good. I forgot how brilliant those two flavors go together. That's because I hadn't had one in ages. There was a day, guys, never mix like a berry blend and a tropical blend. Don't do it. Do not do it. It's just not a good combo. I did that, and it was not okay. Not yesterday, but I think the day or two before that. Not a fan of banana with stuff. Really? Not even like peanut butter and banana? Nor strawberry banana? Come on. What about just like a plain banana smoothie? No. Is this reverse psychology? So you do want us to do it? No, please, I'm begging you. Do not. The tropical blend and a berry blend are not meant for each other. This is not reverse psychology. Don't do it. I don't know. It was bearable, but it was not tasty. Not tasty. And trust me, I am a smoothie connoisseur. Actually, just kidding. I wish I knew more about smoothies, though. It'd be cool to, like, be a smoothie alchemist of sorts. To know all the different types of combinations and flavors I could achieve. Be like the Ratatouille of smoothies. Be pretty darn sweet. So, last we left off in The Lost Hero. A number of things happened. We got the perspectives of Leo, Piper, and Jason of how their first experience with Camp Half-Blood went. Piper was led away by Annabeth for both of them to have a bit of a difficult conversation. For both of them, it would seem, each of them winding up in tears at one point or another. Piper got to know Annabeth a little bit more, got to know a little more about her situation, her scenario, with her boyfriend missing, how Era had come to her in a dream and told her that if she went to the Grand Canyon and found a dude with his left shoe missing, of all things, then her problem would be solved. And how that dude with the missing left shoe wound up being Jason and not Percy, as she expected. It was also revealed to Piper that the gods have gone silent. Aside from Era communicating through dreams here and there, the gates of Olympus, the doors to Olympus have been closed, and the Olympians are no longer taking calls, so to speak. Which is very unnerving. This sort of thing hasn't happened in a long, long time. Even Dionysus, the god of wine that resides over Camp Half-Blood normally, has been called back to Olympus. Wild stuff. They ran into Rachel Elizabeth there as well. All the while, Piper's been kind of mentioning that, she can't allow herself to get close to anyone here at Camp Half-Blood, lest they just simply become more friends she would have to betray. Piper had to come to the reality that Jason and her were in fact never together, that the memories of them being together were simply implanted in her due to the mist playing mind games with her. Piper still is struggling to accept that, and something that sets her at ease somewhat is that Annabeth tells her, hey, maybe those memories were fabricated, but going forward, from right now, you can make an effort to get to know Jason and to hopefully, forge that relationship once more. They ran into Rachel Elizabeth there in Era's cabin, of all places. More of a ceremonial type of place rather than an actual functional cabin. But Rachel Elizabeth there, now Camp Half-Blood's Oracle, was there on a hunch, believing that the cabin had something to do with the gods' disappearance, as well as Percy's disappearance. It seems as though, she wasn't really getting anywhere, or rather that they wouldn't really be able to talk too much about it with Piper around. But out of nowhere, Rachel has an oracle spasm, and the green mist funnels out of her mouth, and she takes on the voice of a seemingly distant old maiden, screaming, "Free me! Free me!" Very unsure and unclear as to what the heck that's about. And from there, it switched over to Leo's perspective. Leo got a tour from Dear William, one of the Apollo cabin guys. He was brought over to the Hephaestus cabin where he met Jake Mason, the current leader of the Hephaestus cabin, where he found out that there's been a sort of curse, right, over Cabin 5, over the Hephaestus cabin, ever since Beckendorf had passed away in the last war. Machines and things they've built have gone awry. There's apparently a bronze dragon automaton on the loose that only Beckendorf could get under control beforehand, and now it's just running rampant. There just seems to be so many things that have been going wrong in the Hephaestus cabin that the whole camp has started to call it a curse. So Leo is overjoyed about that, no doubt. However, he seems determined to help out and to see what he can do about this bronze dragon situation. Part of which he asks, don't any of you guys have some sort of control over fire, being the children of the gods, or being the children of the god of forges, right? Fire and metalworking. But they say, no, nobody's had that kind of power in centuries. And any time that somebody has been born, with that sort of power, any child of Hephaestus that has been born with that power, it's been a sign of oncoming calamity. And so, once he finds that out, he says, "Hey, can you give me a minute before I head over to the banquet with you guys?" And they say, "Yeah, sure." And he has a moment alone where he snaps his fingers, and a little flicker of fire appears at the tips of his fingers. Our dear Leo is a firebender, so to speak. He is one of these children of Hephaestus that haven't been born in centuries. So supposedly Leo is a sign of calamity. Lastly, you know, we came to Jason and got his perspective. He was brought over to the big house, the big blue house in the center of camp, by Drew, the head leader of the Aphrodite cabin. She, she brought him up there. He met with Chiron, the first recognizing that, oh wow, there's a centaur here, a legitimate half-horse, half-human. And not just any centaur, but the centaur that has been the teacher of demigods for over 1,000 years. They have a discussion, all the while Chiron looking very uneasy and very just tense, very tense. Jason continually during this conversation got a sense that he doesn't belong there, or that he shouldn't be there, you know, at Camp Half-Blood specifically. And Chiron, you know, tried to be careful with his words. At one point, bringing forth the language of, or switching to Latin out of nowhere from English. And without even realizing it, Jason started speaking Roman, you know, the Latin language right back to him. I found a funny Chiron meme. Check the Discord. Yo, let me see. Greek mythology, Chiron was not only half man and half horse, he was also a doctor of medicine. That made him the centaur for disease control. Come on. Come on, man. I don't know how I feel about that. Is that like a pun on, like, center? Like the center of disease control? I can appreciate a good I can appreciate a good pun. Sorry, going back to the recap. I regret nothing. I regret nothing. So we find out that Jason can speak Roman fluently. Yet another sign that, you know, there's something up here. You know, he seems to know how to speak Latin. He knows everything Greek mythology-wise, but its Roman counterpart. Amidst this conversation with Chiron, in the middle of one of Chiron's sentences, time freezes, and out of the living mounted jaguar head, or leopard head, Seymour, comes a sort of mist, a dark mist, and a
and a distorted woman's voice. And it's unclear who this maiden is, but all we know is that she's trapped. It took all of her power to bring Jason to Camp Half-Blood, and that there's a reason why she brought Jason there and took his memories. And she says, you have until sunset on the solstice, 4 short days, to come and save me. And if Jason doesn't, it appears he'll never get his memories back. So, with that happening, time unfreezes, and bursting through the door comes Rachel Elizabeth there, and Annabeth dragging an unconscious Piper through the doors. Annabeth says, Era's cabin, vision, real bad. And Rachel says, I think I might have killed her. And that's where we left off. So, whew. Let's dive in and see where things go from here. Get a sip of water. I think, speaking of pineapple, I'll open up my pineapple kombucha. That's some good kombucha. Alrighty, guys. You ready for story time? Sit back, relax, get yourself cozy, and get ready for the story. Because this is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. Read by Mary Mitch. 8. Jason. Jason and the redhead, who introduced herself as Rachel, put Piper on the couch while Annabeth rushed down the hall to get a medkit. Piper was still breathing, but she wouldn't wake up. She seemed to be in some kind of coma. We've got to heal her, Jason insisted. There's a way, right? Seeing her so pale, barely breathing, Jason felt a surge of protectiveness. Maybe he didn't really know her. Maybe she wasn't his girlfriend. But they'd survived the Grand Canyon together. They'd come all this way. He'd left her side for a little while, and this had happened. Chiron put his hand on her forehead and grimaced. Her mind is in a fragile state. Rachel, what happened? I wish I knew, she said. As soon as I got to camp, I had a premonition about Era's cabin. I went inside, and Annabeth and Piper came in while I was there. We talked, and then I just blanked out. Annabeth said I spoke in a different voice. A prophecy? Chiron asked. No, the spirit of Delphi comes from within. I know how that feels. This was like long distance. A power trying to speak through me. Annabeth ran in with a leather pouch. She knelt next to Piper. Chiron, what happened back there? I've never seen anything like it. I've heard Rachel's prophecy voice. This was different. She sounded like an older woman. She grabbed Piper's shoulders and told her to free her from a prison, Jason guessed. Annabeth stared at him. How did you know that? Chiron made a 30-fingered gesture over his heart, like a ward against evil.
Jason, tell them. Annabeth, the medicine bag, please.
Chiron trickled drops from a medicine vial into Piper's mouth, while Jason explained what had happened when the room froze. The dark, misty woman who had claimed to be Jason's patron. Hey, smoothie done. Let's go. When he was done, no one spoke, which made him even more anxious. So, does this happen often? He asked. Supernatural phone calls from convicts? Supernatural phone calls from convicts demanding you bust them out of jail? No. Oh, your patron, Annabeth said. Not your godly parent? No, she said patron. She also said my dad had given her my life. Annabeth frowned. I've never heard anything like that before. You said the storm spirit on the skywalk. He claimed to be working for some mistress who was giving him orders, right? Could it be this woman you saw? Could it be this woman you saw? Messing with your mind? I don't think so, Jason said. If she were my enemy, why would she be asking for my help? She's imprisoned. She's worried about some enemy getting more powerful. Something about a king rising from the earth on the solstice. Annabeth turned to Chiron. Not Kronos. Please tell me it's not that. The centaur looked miserable. He held Piper's wrist, checking her pulse. At last he said, "It is not Kronos. That threat is ended. But what?" Annabeth asked. Chiron closed the medicine bag. Piper needs to rest. We should discuss this later. Or now, Jason said. Sir, Mr. Chiron, you told me the greatest threat was coming. The last chapter. You can't possibly mean something worse than an army of titans, right? Oh, Rachel said in a small voice. Oh dear. The woman was Era. Of course, Cabin, her voice. She showed herself to Jason at that very moment. Era? Era? Annabeth's snarl was... Oh. Era? Annabeth's snarl was even fiercer than Seymour's. She took you over? She did this to Piper? I think Rachel's right, Jason said. The woman did seem like a goddess. And she wore this goatskin cloak. That's a symbol of Juno, isn't it? It is? Annabeth scowled. Never heard of that. never heard that. Chiron nodded reluctantly.
Of Juno. Hera's Roman aspect. In her most warlike state. The goatskin cloak was a symbol of the Roman soldier.
Oh, thank you, May. So, Hera is imprisoned? Rachel asked. Who could do that to the Queen of the Gods? Annabeth crossed her arms. Well, whoever they are, maybe we should thank them. They can shut Hera.
Annabeth,
Chiron warned.
she is still one of the Olympians. In many ways, she is the glue that holds the gods. And the gods' family together. If she truly has been imprisoned and is in danger of destruction, this could shake the foundations of the world. Could unravel the stability of Olympus, which is never great, even in the best of times. And if Hera has asked Jason for help.
Fine, Annabeth grumbled. Well, we know Titans can capture a god, right? Atlas captured Artemis a few years ago. And in the old stories, the gods captured each other in traps all the time. But something worse than a Titan. Jason looked at the leopard's head. Seymour was snacking. I wish so too, P-dubs. Seymour was smacking his lips like the goddess had tasted much better than a sausage. Hera said she'd been trying to break through her prison bonds for a month. Which is how long Olympus has been closed, Annabeth said. So the gods must know something bad is going on. But why use her energy to send me here? Jason asked. She wiped my memory, plopped me into the wilderness school field trip, and sent you a dream vision to come pick me up. Why am I so important? Why not just send up an emergency flare to the other gods? Let them know where she is so they can bust her out. The gods need heroes to do their will down here on Earth, Rachel said. That's right, isn't it? Their fates are always intertwined with demigods. That's true, Annabeth said, but Jason's got a point. Why him? Why take his memory? And Piper's involved somehow, Rachel said. Hera sent her the same message. Free me. And, Annabeth, this must have something to do with Percy's disappearing. Annabeth fixed her eyes on Chiron. Why are you so quiet, Chiron? Why are you so quiet, Chiron? What is it we're facing? The old centaur's face looked like it had aged 10 years in a matter of minutes. The lines around his eyes were deeply etched.
My dear, in this, I cannot help you. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Annabeth blinked. You've never kept information from me. Even the last great prophecy. I will be in my office. His voice was heavy. I need some time to think before our dinner. Rachel, will you watch the girl? Call Argus to bring her to the infirmary, if you'd like. And Annabeth, you should speak with Jason. Tell him about the Greek and Roman gods. But the centaur turned his wheelchair and rolled off down the hallway. Annabeth's eyes turned stormy. She muttered something in Greek. Jason got the feeling it wasn't complimentary towards centaurs. I'm sorry, Jason said. I think my being here, I don't know. I've messed things up coming to the camp somehow. Chiron said he'd sworn an oath and couldn't talk about it. What oath? Annabeth demanded. I've never seen him act this way. And why would he tell me to talk to you about the gods? And her voice trailed off. Apparently, she just noticed Jason's sword sitting on the coffee table. She touched the blade gingerly, like it might be hot. Is this gold? She said. You remember where you got it? No, Jason said. Like I said, I don't remember anything. And Beth nodded, like she'd just come up with a rather desperate plan. If Chiron won't help, we'll need to figure things out ourselves. Which means... Cabin 15. Rachel, you'll keep an eye on Piper. Sure, Rachel promised. Good luck, you two. Hold on, Jason said. What's in cabin 15? Annabeth stood. Maybe a way to get back your memory. They headed toward a newer wing of cabins in the southwest corner of the green. Some were fancy, with glowing walls or blazing torches, but cabin 15 was not so dramatic. It looked like an old-fashioned prairie house, with mud walls and a rush roof. On the door hung a wreath of crimson flowers. Red poppies, Jason thought, though he wasn't sure how he knew. You think this is my parent? He asked. No, Annabeth said. This is the cabin for Hypnos, the god of sleep. Then why... You've forgotten everything, she said. If there's any god who can help us figure out memory loss, it's gonna be Hypnos. Inside, even though it was almost dinner time, 3 kids were sound asleep under piles of covers. A warm fire crackled in the hearth. Above the mantel hung a tree branch, each twig dripping white liquid into a collection of tin bowls. Jason was tempted to catch a drop on his finger just to see what it was, but he held himself back. Soft violin music played from somewhere. The air smelled like fresh laundry. The cabin was so cozy and peaceful that Jason's eyelids started to feel heavy. A nap sounded like a great idea. He was exhausted. There were plenty of empty beds, all with feather pillows and fresh sheets and fluffy quilts, and Annabeth nudged him. Snap out of it. Jason blinked. He realized his knees had started to buckle. Cabin 15 does that to everyone, Annabeth warned. If you ask me, this place is even more dangerous than the Ares cabin. At least with Ares, you can learn where the landmines are. Landmines? She walked up to the nearest snoring kid, shook his shoulders. Clovis! Wake up! The kid looked like a baby cow. He had a blonde tuft of hair on a wedge-shaped head, with thick features and a thick neck. His body was stocky, but he had spindly little arms, like he'd never lifted anything heavier than a pillow. Clovis! Annabeth shook harder, then finally knocked on his forehead about 6 times. What? Clovis complained. Sitting up and squinting, he yawned hugely. Both Annabeth and Jason yawned too. Stop that, Annabeth said. We need your help. I was sleeping. You're always sleeping? Good night. Before he could pass out, Annabeth yanked his pillow off the bed. That's not fair, Clovis complained meekly. Give it back. First, help, Annabeth said. Then, sleep. Clovis sighed. His breath smelled like warm milk. Fine. What? Annabeth explained about Jason's problem. Every once in a while, she'd snap her fingers under Clovis's nose to keep him awake. Clovis must have been really excited, because when Annabeth was done, he didn't pass out. He actually stood and stretched, then blinked at Jason. So you don't remember anything, huh? Just impressions, Jason said. Feelings, like... Yes? Clovis said. Like, I know I shouldn't be here. At this camp. I'm in danger. Close your eyes. Jason glanced at Annabeth, but she nodded reassuringly. Jason was afraid he'd end up snoring in one of the bunks forever, but he closed his eyes. His thoughts became murky, as if he were sinking into a dark lake. The next thing he knew, his eyes snapped open. He was sitting in a chair by the fire. Clovis and Annabeth knelt next to him. Serious. All right. Clovis was saying. What happened? Jason said. How long? Just a few minutes, Annabeth said. But it was tense. You almost dissolved. Jason hoped she didn't mean literally. Her expression was solemn. Usually, Clovis said, memories are lost for a good reason. They sink under the surface like dreams. And with a good sleep, I can bring them back. But this... Leth? Annabeth asked. No, Clovis said. Not even Leth. Or Leith? Leith? Annabeth asked. No, Clovis said. Not even Leith. Leith? Jason asked. Clovis pointed to the tree branch dripping milky drops above the fireplace. The river Leith in the underworld, it dissolves your memories, wipes your mind clean permanently. That's the branch of a poplar tree from the underworld, dipped into the left. Or Leith, it's the symbol of my father, Hypnos. Leith is not a place you want to go swimming. Annabeth nodded. Percy went there once. Told me it was powerful enough to wipe the mind of a titan. Jason was suddenly glad he hadn't touched the branch. But that's not my problem. No, Clovis agreed. Your mind wasn't wiped, and your memories weren't even buried. They've been stolen. The fire crackled. Drops of Leith water blinked into the tin cups on the mantel. One of the other Hypnos campers muttered in his sleep. Something about a duck. Stolen, Jason said. How? A god, Clovis said. Only a god would have that kind of power. We know that, said Jason. It was Juno. But how did she do it? And why? Clovis scratched his neck. Juno? He means Hera, Annabeth said. For some reason, Jason likes the Roman names. What? Jason asked. Does that mean something? Clovis said again, and this time Jason realized he was snoring. Clovis! He yelled. What? What? His eyes fluttered open. What? We were talking about pillows? Right? No, gods. Gods. I remember. Greek and Roman. Sure, it could be important. But they're the same gods, Annabeth said. Just different names. Not exactly, Clovis said. Jason sat forward, now very much awake. What do you mean, not exactly? Well, some gods are only Roman, like Janus or Pompona. But even the major Greek gods, it's not just their names that changed when they moved to Rome. Their appearances changed. Their attributes changed. They even had slightly different personalities. But Annabeth faltered. Okay, so maybe people saw them differently through the centuries. That doesn't change who they are. Sure it does. Clovis began to nod off. Jason snapped his finger under his nose. Coming, mother! He yelped. I mean... Yeah. I'm awake. Personalities. The gods change to reflect their host cultures. Do you know that, Annabeth? I mean, these days, Zeus likes tailored suits, reality television, and a Chinese food place on East 28th Street, right? It was the same in Roman times, and the gods were Roman almost as long as they were Greek. It was a big empire, lasted for centuries. So, of course, their Roman aspects are still a big part of their character. Makes sense, Jason said. Annabeth shook her head, mystified. But how do you know all this, Clovis? Oh, I spend a lot of time dreaming. I see the gods there all the time. Always shifting forms. Dreams are fluid, you know? You can be in different places at once. Always changing identities. It's a lot like being a god, actually. Like recently, I dreamed I was watching a Michael Jackson concert, and then I was on stage with Michael Jackson, and we were singing this duet, and I could not remember the words for "The Girl Is Mine." Oh, man, it was so embarrassing. Clovis, Annabeth interrupted. Back to Rome? Right, Rome, Clovis said. So, we call the gods by their Greek names, because that's their original form. But saying their Roman aspects are exactly the same, that's not true. In Rome, they became more warlike. They didn't mingle with mortals as much. They were harsher, more powerful. The gods of an empire. Like the dark side of the gods? Annabeth asked. Not exactly, Clovis said. They stood for discipline, honor, strength. Good things then, Jason said. For some reason, he felt the need to speak up for the Roman gods, though he wasn't sure why it mattered to him. I mean, discipline is important, right? That's what made Rome last so long. Clovis gave him a curious look. That's true. But the Roman gods weren't very friendly. For instance, my dad, Hypnos, he didn't do much except sleep in Greek times. In Roman times, they called him Somnus. He liked killing people who didn't stay alert at their jobs. If they nodded off at the wrong time, boom! They never woke up. He killed the helmsman of Aeneas when they were sailing from Troy. Nice guy, Annabeth said, but I still don't understand what it has to do with Jason. Neither do I, Clovis said. But if Hera took your memory, only she can give it back. And if I had to meet the Queen of the Gods, I'd hope she was more in an Hera mood than a Juno mood. Can I go back to sleep now? Annabeth stared at the branch above the fire, dripping Leith water into the cups. She looked so worried. Jason wondered if she was considering a drink to forget her troubles. Then she stood and tossed Clovis his pillow. Thanks, Clovis. We'll see you at dinner. Can I get room service? Clovis yawned and stumbled to his bunk. I feel like... He collapsed with his butt in the air and his face buried in his pillow. Won't he suffocate? Jason asked.
He'll be fine, Annabeth said. I'm beginning to think that you are in serious trouble. He'll be fine, Annabeth said. I'm beginning to think that you are in serious trouble. Ooh. Snap. Alright, that was our first chapter of the night. Dude, Clovis. I freaking love Clovis. Just a sleepy boy. I will say though, I started to get sleepy like during that. Anybody else? Anybody else get sleepy during that? It's too much yawning. Oof. Older equals worse? What do you mean? I'm a little bit confused. Older equals worse. Ma Bean. It's good to see you, dude. I don't think I've seen you for a while. Time for Book on Face. Almost died? Please do explain. Oh, dude, don't worry about it. I appreciate that. Ba-da-dum. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Whoa! Yeah! Whoa! Alright. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please. Please, guys. There's only so much applauding you can do. Come on. Chiron said, not Kronos, right? Ah. Yes. Sorry, I see that's what you were referring to. Older does in fact mean worse. More ancient does mean more powerful. Again, P-dubs, you are too smart for your own good. Or maybe for your own good. You're a clever one. Grandparents and aunt lost homes. Goodness. I live in the middle of all the fires in Cali. Good lord, man. You're still thinking about me and resubbing? Hey, I mean, if it's within your power, I would still certainly appreciate it, but if it's yet another thing that would worry you, please don't worry. Life just been hectic. Alright. I'm glad to hear things are a little better. Ooh, and another one. Let's see. Let me see. I need to do like... I need to create like a book on face song. You know? I feel like a book on face song would be good. Would be an alright one. I'll just play When Worlds Collide. Oh!
3,000 years later.
When worlds collide,
12 seconds
When
later.
worlds collide, you'll laugh so hard, you'll swear you died. When worlds collide, hold my hand, I'll be your guide. When worlds collide, buckle up for the tweeted ride, and prepare to have your mind blown wide. When worlds collide, when worlds collide.
Meanwhile,
When worlds collide, it's a curious thing. Bet you never heard a robot in a caveman state. In his metal chest are some working parts. How is that different from a neat in art?
Oh
later.
yeah. All right. Anytime we get Book on Face, I'll keep playing that song. Mobbin, make sure you take care of yourself and your family. I would second that. And welcome back, May. We do need a Book on Face song. Honest to goodness, I have a different song in the works at the moment, but once I'm done with that one, I want to see if I can get a Book on Face. And it's, yeah, I want to make it just like a jingle to last just long enough for like the Book on Face thing. Some kind of, I don't know, silly, like quick 30-second jingle. Oh yeah, no, it'll be a merry original. Don't you worry. Call it Book on Face. See if I can do like an extended version, like a goofy rap or something. What genre would you want it to be in? About 1 hour's song? Yeah, yeah. I don't know about that one. One hour is greater than 30 seconds. I would agree. I wonder if I can get like a Bill Wirtz kind of vibe with it. You guys know Bill Wirtz, right? I'd be like, you guys know it's time for Book on Face. Like a guitar riff or something. Any genre, but 1 hour for sure. Gosh darn it. And anytime like Book on Face is requested, the next hour of the stream is just the song and me with a book on my face. Oh, I know P-dubs. It's okay. It's alright. I miss him too. A guy named Bill Wirtz. You look him up on YouTube. He's got some incredible videos. Mount St. Helens is a classic. Mount St. Helens is about to blow up. Mount St. Helens is about to blow up. It's gonna be a fine, swell day. I'm riding a pony into the sunset. Everything's green and gold, so I'm not in hell yet. Such a good line. It's one of my favorites. That and Ball and Stick is one of my other favorites. He's super active on his website. I didn't know he had a website. I'm riding a pony into the sunset. And everything's green and gold, so I'm not in hell yet. They say I haven't been paying them very much. Mount St. Helens is about to blow up. It's gonna be a fine, swell day. Shoot. I can spend a lot more time just singing Bill Wirtz stuff. But I think it may be time to get back to to our reading. We'll see if we have time for a break after this chapter. If we don't, we may just be reading straight through. But I do need to blast in about an hour and a half, so let's go ahead and jump back into it. I'm sorry, mate. But 'tis story time. Oh ho, big spoiler time. Singing time is a great time. Singing time is a great time. Singing time. But it is no longer singing time, but is instead story time. Alright, get cozy, get comfy, and settle in for Chapter 9. This is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. Read by Mary Mitch. 9. Piper. Piper dreamt about her last day with her dad. They were on the beach near Big Sur, taking a break from surfing. The morning had been so perfect. Piper knew something had to go wrong soon. A rabid horde of paparazzi, or maybe a great white shark attack. No way her luck could hold. But so far, they'd had excellent waves, an overcast sky, and a mile of oceanfront completely to themselves. Dad had found this out-of-the-way spot, rented a beachfront villa, and the properties on either side, and somehow managed to keep it secret. If he stayed there too long, Piper knew the photographers would find him. They always did. Nice job out there, Pipes. He gave her the smile he was famous for. Perfect teeth, dimpled chin, a twinkle in his dark eyes that always made grown women scream and ask him to sign their bodies in permanent marker. Seriously, Piper thought, get a life. His close-cropped black hair gleamed with salt water. You're getting better at hanging 10. Piper flushed with pride, though she suspected Dad was just being nice. She still spent most of her time wiping out. It took a special talent to run over yourself with a surfboard. Her dad was a natural surfer, which made no sense since he'd been raised a poor kid in Oklahoma, hundreds of miles from the ocean. But he was amazing on the curls. Piper would have given up surfing a long time ago, except it let her spend time with him. There weren't many ways she could do that. Sandwich? Dad dug into a picnic basket his chef Arno had made. Let's see. Turkey pesto, crab cake wasabi. Ah, a Piper special. Peanut butter and jelly. She took the sandwich, though her stomach was too upset to eat. She always asked for PB&J. Piper was vegetarian, for one thing. She had been ever since they'd driven past the slaughterhouse in Chino, and the smell had made her insides want to become outsides. But it was more than that. PB&J was simple food, like a regular kid would have for lunch. Sometimes she pretended her dad had actually made it for her, not a personal chef from France who liked to wrap the sandwich in gold leaf paper with a light-up sparkler inside instead of a toothpick. Couldn't anything be simple? That's why she turned down the fancy clothes Dad always offered. The designer shoes, the trips to the salon. She cut her own hair with a
pair of plastic Garfield safety scissors, deliberately making it uneven. She preferred to wear beat-up running shoes, jeans, a t-shirt, and her old Polartec jacket from the time they went snowboarding. And she hated the snobby private schools Dad thought were good for her. She kept getting herself kicked out. He kept finding more schools. Yesterday, she'd pulled her biggest heist yet, driving that borrowed BMW out of the dealership. She had to pull a bigger stunt each time, because it took more and more to get Dad's attention. Now she regretted it. Dad didn't know yet. She'd meant to tell him that morning. Then he'd surprised her with this trip, and she couldn't ruin it. It was the first time they'd had a day together in, 3 months?
What's wrong?
He passed her a soda. Dad, there's something...
Hold on, Pipes. That's a serious face. Ready for any 3 questions?
They'd been playing that game for years. Her dad's way of staying connected in the shortest possible amount of time. They could ask each other any 3 questions. Nothing off limits. And you had to answer honestly. The rest of the time, Dad promised to stay out of her business, which was easy, since he was never around. Piper knew most kids would find a Q&A like this with their parents totally mortifying, but she looked forward to it. It was like surfing. Not easy, but a way to feel like she actually had a father. First question, she said. Mom. No surprise. That was always one of her topics. Her dad shrugged with resignation.
What do you want to know, Piper? I've already told you. She disappeared. I don't know why, nor where she went. After you were born, she simply left. I never heard from her again.
Do you think she's still alive? It wasn't a real question. Dad was allowed to say he didn't know, but she wanted to hear how he'd answer. He stared at the waves.
Your Grandpa Tom,
He said at last.
he used to tell me that if you walked far enough toward the sunset, you'd come to ghost country, where you could talk to the dead. He said a long time ago, you could bring the dead back. But then, mankind messed up. Well, it's a long story.
Like the land of the dead for the Greeks? Piper remembered. It was in the West, too. And Orpheus. He tried to bring his wife back. Dad nodded. The year before, he had his biggest role as an ancient Greek king. Piper had helped him research the myths, all those old stories about people getting turned to stone and boiled in lakes of lava. They'd had a fun time reading together, and it made Piper's life seem not so bad. For a while, she'd felt closer to her dad. But like everything, it didn't last.
A lot of similarities between Greek and Cherokee.
Dad agreed.
Wonder what your grandpa would think if he saw us now. Sitting at the end of the western land. He'd probably think we're ghosts.
So you're saying you believe those stories? You think Mom is dead? His eyes watered. Piper saw the sadness behind them. She figured that's why women were so attracted to him. On the surface, he seemed confident and rugged, but his eyes held so much sadness. Women wanted to find out why. They wanted to comfort him, and they never could. Dad told Piper it was a Cherokee thing. They all had that darkness inside them from generations of pain and suffering. But Piper thought it was more than that.
I don't believe the stories,
He said,
they're fun to tell. If I really believed in ghost country, or animal spirits, or Greek gods, I don't think I could sleep at night. I'd always be looking for somebody to blame.
somebody to blame for Grandpa Tom dying of lung cancer, Piper thought. Somebody to blame for Grandpa Tom dying of lung cancer, Piper thought. Before Dad got famous, had the money to help. For Mom, the only woman he'd ever loved, abandoning him without even a goodbye note, leaving him with a newborn girl he wasn't ready to care for. For his being so successful, and yet still not happy.
I don't know if she's alive,
He said,
but I do think she might as well be in ghost country, Piper. There's no getting her back. If I believed otherwise, I don't think I could stand that either.
Behind them, a car door opened. Piper turned, and her heart sank. Jane was marching towards them in her business suit, wobbling over the sand in her high heels, her PDA in hand. The look on her face was partly annoyed, partly triumphant. Piper knew she'd been in touch with the police. "Please fall down," Piper prayed. "If there's any animal spirit or Greek god that can help, make Jane take a header. I'm not asking for permanent damage. Just knock her out for the rest of the day. Please. Please." But Jane kept advancing. "Dad," Piper said quickly, "something happened yesterday." But he'd seen Jane too. He was already reconstructing his business face. Jane wouldn't be here if it wasn't serious. A studio had called. Project fell through. Or Piper had messed up again.
We'll get back to that, Pipes.
He promised.
I'd better see what Jane wants. You know how she is.
Yes, Piper knew. Dad trudged across the sand to meet her. Piper couldn't hear them talking, but she didn't need to. She was good at reading faces. Jade gave him the facts about the stolen car, occasionally pointing at Piper like she was a disgusting pet that had whizzed on the carpet. Dad's energy and enthusiasm drained away. He gestured for Jane to wait, then he walked back to Piper. She couldn't stand that look in his eyes, like she'd betrayed his trust.
You told me you would try, Piper,
He said. "Dad, I hate that school. I can't do it. I wanted to tell you about the BMW, but..."
They've expelled you,
He said.
A car, Piper. You're 16 next year. I would buy you a car if you want. How could you? How could you?
You mean Jane would buy me a car? Piper demanded. She couldn't help it. The anger just welled up and spilled out of her. Dad, just listen for once. Don't make me wait for you to ask your stupid 3 questions. I want to go to regular school. I want you to take me to parents' night, not Jane. Or homeschool me. I learned so much when we read about Greece together. We could do that all the time. We could...
Don't make this about me, her dad said. I do the best I can, Piper. We've had this conversation.
No, she thought. You've cut off this conversation. For years. Her dad sighed.
Jane's talked to the police, brokered a deal. The dealership won't press charges, but you have to agree to go to a boarding school in Nevada. They specialize in problems. In kids with tough issues.
That's what I am. Her voice trembled. A problem.
Piper, you said you'd try. You let me down. I don't know what else to do.
Do anything, she said. But do it yourself. Don't let Jane handle it for you. You can't just send me away. Dad looked down at the picnic basket. His sandwich sat uneaten on a piece of gold leaf paper. They'd planned for a whole afternoon in the surf. Now, that was ruined. Piper couldn't believe he'd really give in to Jane's wishes. Not this time. Not on something as huge as boarding school.
Go see her, Dad said. She's got the details.
Dad... He looked away, gazing at the ocean like he could see all the way to Ghost Country. Piper promised herself she wouldn't cry. She headed up to the beach. She headed up the beach towards Jane, who smiled coldly, held up a plane ticket. As usual, she'd already arranged everything. Piper was just another problem of the day that Jane could now check off the list. Piper's dream changed. She stood on a mountaintop at night, city lights glimmering below. In front of her, a bonfire blazed. Purplish flames seemed to cast more shadow than light, but the heat was so intense, her clothes steamed.
This is your second warning. This is your second warning.
A voice rumbled, so powerful it shook the earth. Piper had heard that voice before in her dreams. She tried to convince herself it wasn't as scary as she remembered. But it was worse. Behind the bonfire, a huge face loomed out of the darkness. It seemed to float above the flames, but Piper knew it must be connected to an enormous body. The crude features might have been chiseled out of rock. The face hardly seemed alive, except for its piercing, white eyes, like raw diamonds, and its horrible frame of dreadlocks, braided with human bones. It smiled, and Piper shivered.
You'll do what you're told,
The giant said.
You'll go on the quest, do our bidding, and you may walk away alive. Otherwise, gestured to one side of the fire. Piper's father was hanging unconscious, tied to a stake. She tried to cry out. She wanted to call to her dad, and demand the giant let him go, but her voice wouldn't work. "I'll be watching," the giant said. "Serve me, and you both live. You have the word of Enceladus. Enceladus. Fail me. Well, fail me. Well, I've slept for millennia, young demigod. I am very hungry. Fail, and I'll eat well. Fail, and I'll eat well." The giant roared with laughter. The earth trembled. A crevice opened at Piper's feet. She tumbled into darkness. She woke, feeling like she'd been trampled by an Irish step-dancing troupe. Her chest hurt, and she could barely breathe. She reached down and closed her hand around the hilt of the dagger Beth had given her. Catoptris, Helen of Troy's weapon. So, Camp Half-Blood hadn't been a dream. "How are you feeling?" someone asked. Piper tried to focus. She was lying in a bed with a white curtain on one side, like a nurse's office. That redhead girl, Rachel Dare, sat next to her. On the wall was a poster of a cartoon satyr who looked disturbingly like Coach Hedge, with a thermometer sticking out of his mouth. The caption read, "Don't let your sickness get your goat. Don't let your sickness get your goat." "Where?" Piper's voice died when she saw the guy at the door. He looked like a typical California surfer dude. Buff and tan, blonde hair, dressed in shorts and a t-shirt. But he had hundreds of blue eyes all over his body, along his arms, down his legs, and all over his face. Even his feet had eyes, peering up at her from between the straps of his sandals. "That's Argus," Rachel said. "Our head of security. He's just keeping an eye on things." So to speak. Argus nodded. The eye on his chin winked. "Where?" Piper tried again, but she felt like she was talking through a mouthful of cotton. "You're in the big house," Rachel said. "Camp offices. We brought you here when you collapsed." "You grabbed me," Piper remembered. "Era's voice." "I'm sorry about that," Rachel said. "Believe me, it was not my idea to get possessed. Charon healed you with some nectar." "Nectar?" "The drink of the gods. In small amounts, it heals demigods. If it doesn't, burn you to ashes." "Oh, fun." Rachel sat forward. "You remember your vision?" Piper had a moment of dread, thinking she meant the dream about the giant. Then she realized Rachel was talking about what happened in Era's cabin. "Something's wrong with the goddess," Piper said. "She told me to free her, like she's trapped. She mentioned the earth swallowing us, and a fiery one, and something about the solstice.
In the corner, Argus made a rumbling sound in his chest. His eyes all fluttered at once. Era created Argus, Rachel explained. He's actually very sensitive when it comes to her safety. We're trying to keep him from crying because the last time that happened, well, it caused quite a flood. Argus sniffled. He grabbed a fistful of Kleenex from the bedside table and started dabbing the eyes all over his body. So... Piper tried not to stare as Argus wiped the tears from his elbows. What's happened to Era? We're not sure, Rachel said. Annabeth and Jason were here for you, by the way. Jason didn't want to leave you. But Annabeth had an idea. Something that might restore his memories. That's great. Jason had been here for her. She wished she'd been conscious for that. But if he got his memories back, would that be a good thing? She was still holding out hope that they really did know each other. She didn't want their relationship to be just a trick of the mist. Get over yourself, she thought. If she was going to save her dad, it didn't matter whether Jason liked her or not. He would hate her, eventually. Everyone here would. B-dubs. You're like a friggin' Sherlock Holmes up in here. She looked down at the ceremonial dagger strapped to her side. Annabeth had said it was a sign of power, status, but not normally used in battle. All show and no substance. A fake. Just like Piper. And its name was Catoptris, Looking Glass. She didn't dare unsheath it again, because she couldn't bear to see her own reflection. Don't worry, Rachel squeezed her arm. Jason seems like a good guy. He had a vision too, a lot like yours. Whatever's happening with Era, I think you two are meant to work together. Rachel smiled, like this was good news. But Piper's spirits plunged even further. She thought that this quest, whatever it was, would involve nameless people. Now Rachel was basically telling her, good news! Not only is your dad being held ransom by a cannibal giant, you also get to betray the guy you like. How awesome is that? Hey, Rachel said. No need to cry. You'll figure it out. Piper wiped her eyes, trying to get control of herself. This wasn't like her. She was supposed to be tough. A hardened car thief. The scourge of LA private schools. Here she was, crying like a baby. How can you know what I'm facing? Rachel shrugged. I know it's a hard choice. Your options aren't great. Like I said, I get hunches sometimes. But you're going to be claimed at the campfire. I'm almost sure. When you know who your godly parent is, things might be clearer. Clearer, Piper thought. Not necessarily better. She sat up in bed. Her forehead ached like someone had driven a spike between her eyes. There's no getting your mother back, her dad had told her. But apparently tonight, her mom might claim her. For the first time, Piper wasn't sure she wanted that. I hope it's Athena. She looked up, afraid Rachel might make fun of her, but the Oracle just smiled. Piper, I don't blame you. Truthfully, I think Annabeth is hoping that too. You guys are a lot alike. The comparison made Piper feel even guiltier. Another hunch? You don't know anything about me. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. You're just saying that because you're an oracle, aren't you? You're supposed to sound all mysterious. Rachel sighed. Or Rachel laughed. Don't be giving away my secrets, Piper. And don't worry. Things will work out. Just maybe not the way you plan. Just maybe not the way you plan. That's not making me feel better. Somewhere in the distance, a conch horn blew. Argus grumbled. Argus grumbled and opened the door. Dinner? Piper guessed. You slept through it, Rachel said. Time for the campfire. Let's go find out who you are. Is he really a cannibal, though? I would say no. He'd be a cannibal if he ate other entities that were the same as he is. Or are you just a cannibal if you eat other sentient beings, like in general? Does this be a universe where there are a fair amount of sentient races? Not sure what the verdict is on that one. Nice, okay. And for the night, nice. So we got a Piper night. It be a Piper night, dudes. Oh, I guess the first one was Jason's perspective. But these last two chapters are Piper. Usually it's same species. That's what I thought. I thought so. I thought so. I thought as much. Okie dokie. So, I think we're gonna jump to a break real quick. Sound Gucci? Yeah, I'm gonna go get some water, stretch a little bit. As always, guys, I know there's not a ton of you here, but the P-dubs and Parkin Bop, you know, I encourage you to do the same as I'm about to do, which is stand up from your chairs. Rise. Like a wheat bread. Like bread in an oven. And stretch or go walk around. Take a step outside or something like that. It's important that after we are sitting in our chairs for super duper long periods of time, that we stand up every now and then. You know? It's a good thing for us. Your body will thank you. And, see, it's about 10 past the hour where I'm at now, so we will be back with the final chapter of the night in 10 minutes. So no later than 20 past the hour. Enjoy the music till then, and keep on swaying until I return. My wildflowers. Alright, be right back, guys. Love you bunches.
felt broken and askew. But every day with you made me feel brand new. Lately I felt broken and askew. Take my hand, I'll repair and pull through. Lately I felt broken and askew. But every day with you made me feel brand new. A robot's remedy. The love brought clarity. A robot's remedy. And so sought endlessly. A robot's remedy. The love brought clarity. How do I spell defeat? To be honest, I'd just rather not spell it or yell it over and over again. Disappointment does not spell defeat. I'll land on my feet. Disappointment does not spell defeat. I'll land on my feet. So I'm ready to help them now one last time. Rapid calm, I'm ready, so ask me how one more time. It's showtime, it's lifetime, full time. Meantime, one time turns into part-time, pastime, quick time. Clock goes fast, I'm out of time. In downtime, get up time, better find my way home. My way home. My way home. A robot's remedy. The love brought clarity. A robot's remedy.
I'm glad you're okay.
And so sought endlessly.
No one could ever replace you.
Lately I felt broken and askew. But every day with you made me feel brand new.
Jeez.
Lately I felt broken and askew. Take my hand, I'll repair and pull through. Lately I felt broken and askew. But every day with you made me feel brand new.
Tell them I'm sorry I couldn't fix everything or make their lives better, but every day with them made me feel brand new.
Whoa. I am back. Hello. How's it going, guys? What's crack-a-lackin'? What's hippity poppin'? Welcome back to the Merry Mitch reads to you time. Yeah, I had a good break. Went and hit the restroom, stretched a little bit. Did everyone hydrate? It's a good question. Did everyone hydrate? Was there water drunk? Was water drunk? Huh? Did you intake water into your gullet? Oh yes, sir. Good. I haven't been hydrating nearly as much recently as is good for me. So I'm gonna heed that advice. Drink some more water. That's some good agua. Alright. So. Let's see. Dude, that last chapter was wild. I'm wondering, do you guys think I should use this effect for whenever the dude comes up? Like whenever the big giant guy, the cannibal giant guy, should I use this effect?
So that the giant sounds evil and intimidating and super duper I don't know, so that the giant has a deeper voice.
Or do you like it better when I do my best to give him a regular voice? A cannibal giant? What? Did I say cannibal giant? No. Yeah, sorry, mate. Spoiler alert. There's a big cannibal giant in the latter books. Also, what's up, Drop and Dropa? I don't know if I've seen you around recently. Welcome back. Super good to have you. Both are very nice. He doesn't eat other giants, though. It's true. We're not even sure if he is of the giant race. Exactly, you know? What's up, silly Sammy? How you been sillying recently? Thanks, man. I watch when I can. Heck yeah, dude. It's all a streamer can ask. Hello. Welcome, Sammy. Yeah, dude, there's been some crazy stuff happening in these books. Does he eat people or something? He has threatened to eat one of the main characters and her dad. So that's definitely a thing. Oh, I've been exhausted. Shoot, man. I'm sorry. I hope some energy finds its way to you soon enough. I haven't been exhausted recently. I've been just been dreary or dragging, you know? What? That is a thing for sure. I agree. Absolutely, man. Drink some water, eat some vegetables. Yeah, I've been missing a lot because of it. Rip. It's okay, man. If you need to take time to rest, get that energy back and flowing, say okay. Oh, got to go, Mr. Mitch? but I'll be back for next break. So see y'all then. Right on. I appreciate you being here during the breaks. Again, May, like I don't know. It warms my heart that that you would hang out during the breaks, even though, during these nights you don't want to hear the reading because of spoilers. Imagine eating. What? What is eating, dude? Who eats these days? Hey everyone. Oh, what's up, Lay? How you been? I'm glad to see you here too. Shoot, a lot of my favorite peeps are popping in. Just don't eat people, Sammy. Yeah, it's probably not a thing that most people should do. Because if you eat a person, that's another human like you. And if you were to eat them, it'd make you a cannibal. Much like Hannibal. Doing good, how are you? I'm doing good. This has been a really pleasant stream. Sadly, it's going to be a bit of a shorter one. We only have one chapter left to read tonight. But it's been real nice. That's just how the stream's been going, though. My day's been alright. I woke up way later than I wanted to. I overslept big time. Thankfully, I didn't have any responsibilities or anything that I needed to do that I missed because of my oversleeping, but oversleeping in general is just not a fun thing, Wake up with far more of the day already gone than I expected. G-Man. G-Man. I assume the G means good. It appears you're a good man. Dude, what's up? It is I, Merry Mitch, the merriest of all the Mitches. Hello. Raid? Question mark? Hey. How's the stream going? It's going well. Shoot, yeah, to give you guys an idea, a little introduction, if you will. I'm Merry Mitch. What I do here is in an effort to practice my voice acting and bring new literature to both myself and others, to share in that. I decided to start streaming live readings of books and short stories. A book series, mainly Percy Jackson stuff during the week, and short stories on the weekends. Hey, what's up, Impulse? Shoot, are you a part of this raid? It's good to have you, man. Thank you, Doug. That is Doug, right? Let me see. And thank you, G-Man. Doug not just any Doug. Doug Dimmadome. Owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome? Yeah, don't thank me alone. Impulse was the one who suggested you. Man, thank you, Impulse. I appreciate that love sent my way. Yes, that is me. Heck yeah. Are you the 1724th Doug Dimmadome? In a long line of the Dimmadome family. Oh shoot, yeah. And let's see, what else can I tell you about me? I'm a gymnast. I do like flips and stuff in my spare time. And I'm hoping to be a voice actor at some point. I also really love sour gummy worms. Those are good. Doug Dimmadome. Owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Owner of the proud Dimmadome fortune. And the way this all got started too is during like the coronavirus's first like swing, the first kind of big coronavirus time. I was living with my folks, and I moved back in with them for a short while, like a couple months. And while I was there, I was looking for things to do to, act as a time for me to grow closer to my mom and dad, you know, to spend time with them. So one of those things that I did was I thought, hey, they read to me when I was younger, so why don't I try reading to them? And we started actually with this book right here. It was really cool. You've probably got the smoothest voice I've ever heard. It's beautiful. No homo. Thank you, Umbu. I appreciate that. I have done quite a lot of work on it to get it to be this smooth. And I feel it can only get smoother as time goes by. That's a really cool idea. Heck yeah. And like, you know, once I read to my folks for a time, once it was time for me to move back in at my place, I enjoyed it so much. I wanted to find a place. I wanted to find a way to still be able to do it. And I thought, hey, I don't think there's anyone. I don't think there's really many, if any, streams on Twitch that are just simply like story time. So heck yeah. Unless there are any other questions or I don't know things you might like to know about me or to ask of me, I can give you a little taste of what I do here by reading this next chapter. And just so you know, we're reading The Lost Hero, the series that follows the Percy Jackson series. We hit a milestone recently. I finished up reading all of the Percy Jackson books on stream, which is really cool. How long have I been doing this? I've been doing it for almost half a year? No, maybe not half a year. Maybe, yeah. I feel like it's about 6 months, at least. Yeah. Oh, make sure you can get done in time for your stuff. That's right, I do need to bounce in about 30-ish minutes. But shoot, I wasn't expecting this whole raid thing. Man, honest to goodness, like it's... I feel any streamer would agree. One of the... a raid is a surefire way to bring a smile to a streamer's face. What's your long-term goal for this? I don't know, if I become like a big streamer, then that'd be freaking awesome. I would love to be able to share literature and, you know, this story time, you know, with a lot of folks and have it be a full-fledged career. Otherwise, I'm hoping it'll open up avenues to get me into the voice acting industry, you know? Or maybe the audiobook industry? Question mark. Not sure. It rattled me. Lol. If I redeem the Read This Now reward, can you read the B-movie script? Doug Dimmadome, sir. I can. But I can't promise that it would be now. I cannot promise that it would be now. If you got a short blurb of something that you really want me to read, I can do that. But I apologize. Don't know if I can do the whole B-movie script at the moment. Mitch is a very good boy. I highly recommend. I must eat, so I have to go now. Have a good time, guys. Thank you again so much, Impulse, and I hope your food is super tasty and nutritious and delicious. Whoa, you like jazz? I do like jazz. I'm not sure where that came from, but actually, I do love jazz. I can always appreciate some good jazz. Oh, what's up, Quick Sparse? Alright, guys. I like piano the most, though. It's one of my favorite instruments, too.
That and the harp. I'm also a big fan of the glockenspiel. Can you say, you like jazz in the smoothest voice possible? You like jazz? Let me see. You like jazz? Do you like jazz? But do you like jazz? Glockenspiel slaps, bruh. In all honesty, man, it's such a beautiful sound. The name itself, Glockenspiel. No other instrument has a name like it. Glockenspiel. Oh shoot, that's the other thing that I do. I also make music. I don't have I only have one song on there at the moment posted up. The rest you can hear during like my breaks and whatnot. But if you type in !music, it'll take you to my SoundCloud. I plan on posting the rest of like the Mary Mitch entourage of songs there, but at the moment it's only got one posted. Is there anything I don't do? I'm a bit of a Renaissance man, I guess. At least that's what they said when I was younger. I don't ski. I don't ski when I go to the slopes. Oh snap. You like jazz? Thank you for the clip. Shoot, man. We don't get clips too often over here on the channel, so I appreciate that. Oh gosh, dude, I need to cancel that again. Hang on, I'll paste it myself so that Nightbot doesn't get mad. Yeah, I keep forgetting to change that to where people can post links. Alright, Mitch, gotta head out now. Good luck with the stream and have a great night. Thanks a bunch, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I figured. I don't know. I don't exactly have the ASMR mic, but I got the ambiance and whatnot. Alright guys, I do need to head out in about 30 minutes, maybe 20, so let's go ahead and get on with our next chapter. So settle in, get cozy, and get ready for this next chapter. This is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. 10. Piper. The whole campfire idea freaked Piper out. It made her think of that huge purple bonfire in her dreams, and her father tied to a stake. What she got instead was almost as terrifying. A sing-along. The amphitheater steps were carved into the side of a hill, facing a stone-lined fire pit. 50 or 60 kids filled the rows, clustered into groups under various banners. Piper spotted Jason in the front next to Annabeth. Leo was nearby, sitting with a bunch of burly-looking campers under a steel gray banner emblazoned with a hammer. Standing in front of the fire, half a dozen campers with guitars and strange, old-fashioned harps, lyres, were jumping around, leading a song about pieces of armor. Something about how their grandma got dressed for war? Everybody was singing with them and making gestures for the pieces of armor and joking around. It was quite possibly the weirdest thing Piper had ever seen. One of those campfire songs that
would have been completely embarrassing in daylight, but in the dark, with everybody participating, it was kind of corny and fun. As the energy level got higher, the flames did too, turning from red to orange to gold. Finally, the song ended with a lot of rowdy applause. A guy on a horse trotted up. At least, in the flickering light, Piper thought it was a guy on a horse. Then she realized it was a centaur. His bottom half a white stallion, his top half a middle-aged guy with curly hair and a trimmed beard. He brandished a spear impaled with toasted marshmallows.
Very nice. And a special welcome to our new arrivals. I am Chiron, Camp Activities Director, and I'm happy you have all arrived here alive, with most of your limbs intact. In a moment, I promise we'll get to the s'mores, but first...
What about capture the flag? Somebody yelled. Grumbling broke out amongst the kids in armor, sitting under a red banner with the emblem of a boar's head.
Yes, the centaur said. I know. The Ares cabin is anxious to return to the woods for our regular games.
And kill people! One of them shouted.
However,
Chiron said,
until the dragon is brought under control, that won't be possible. Cabin 9, anything to report on that?
He turned to Leo's group. Leo winked at Piper and shot her with a finger gun. The girl next to him stood uncomfortably. She wore an army jacket a lot like Leo's, with her hair covered in a red bandana.
We're working on it.
More grumbling.
How, Nisa? Really hard?
The girl said. Nisa sat down to a lot of yelling and complaining, which caused the fire to sputter chaotically. Chiron stamped his hoof against the fire pit stones. Bang! 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 And the campers fell silent.
We will have to be patient, Chiron said. In the meantime, we have more pressing matters to discuss.
Percy? Percy? Someone asked. The fire dimmed even further, but Piper didn't need the mood flames to sense the crowd's anxiety. Chiron gestured to Annabeth. She took a deep breath and stood.
I didn't find Percy,
she announced. Her voice caught a little when she said his name.
He wasn't at the Grand Canyon like I thought. But we're not giving up. We've got teams everywhere. Grover, Tyson, Nico, the Hunters of Artemis, everyone's out looking. We will find him. Chiron's talking about something different. A new quest. It's the Great Prophecy, isn't it?
A girl called out.
It's the Great Prophecy, isn't it?
A girl called out. Everyone turned. The voice had come from a group in the back, sitting under a rose-colored banner with a dove emblem. They'd been chanting amongst themselves and not paying much attention until their leader stood up. Drew. Everyone else looked surprised. Apparently Drew didn't address the crowd very often.
Drew?
Annabeth said.
What do you mean? Well, come on.
Drew spread her hands like the truth was obvious.
Olympus is closed. Percy's disappeared. Hera sends you a vision and you come back with 3 new demigods in one day. I mean, something weird is going on.
great prophecy has started, right?
Piper whispered to Rachel.
What's she talking about? The great prophecy?
Hey, thanks, Quick Spars. Hope you have an awesome night. Much love. Then she realized everyone else was looking at Rachel, too.
Well,
Drew called down.
you're the Oracle. Has it started or not?
Rachel's eyes looked scary in the firelight. Piper was afraid she might clench up and start channeling a freaky peacock goddess again, but she stepped forward calmly and addressed the camp.
Yes,
She said.
the great prophecy has begun.
Pandemonium broke out. Piper caught Jason's eye. He mouthed, "You all right?" She nodded and managed to smile, but then looked away. It was too painful seeing him and not being with him. When the talking finally subsided, Rachel took another step towards the audience, and 50-plus demigods leaned away from her, as if one skinny red-headed mortal was more intimidating than all of them put together.
For those of you who haven't heard it, Rachel said, the great prophecy was my first prediction. It arrived in August. It goes like this. 7 half-bloods shall answer the call. To storm or fire, the world must fall.
Jason shot to his feet. His eyes looked wild, like he'd just been tased. Even Rachel seemed caught off guard.
Jason?
She said,
What's...
Ut cum spiritu postrema sacramentum dehormus, he chanted, et hostes ornamenta adent ad Ianuam necem. An uneasy silence settled on the group. Piper could see from their faces that several of them were trying to translate the lines. She could tell it was Latin, but she wasn't sure why. Her, hopefully, future boyfriend was suddenly chanting like a Catholic priest.
You just... finished the prophecy,
Rachel stammered.
An oath to keep with a final breath, and foes bear arms to the doors of death. How did you...
I know those lines. Jason winced and put his hand to his temple. I don't know how, but I know that prophecy.
In Latin, no less,
Drew called out.
handsome and smart.
There was some giggles. There was some giggling from the Aphrodite cabin. God, what a bunch of losers, Piper thought. But it didn't do much to break the tension. The campfire was burning a chaotic, nervous shade of green. Me too, beat-ups. Me too. Oh, no worries, Umbu. Thanks so much for coming, and hope to see you around for another stream. Jason sat down, looking embarrassed, but Annabeth put a hand on his shoulder and muttered something reassuring. Piper felt a pang of jealousy. It should have been her next to him, comforting him. It should have been her next to him, comforting him. Rachel Dare still looked a little shaken. She glanced back at Chiron for guidance, but the centaur stood grim and silent.
As if he were watching a play he couldn't interrupt. A tragedy that ended with a lot of people dead on stage. Well, Rachel said, trying to regain her composure. So, yeah, that's the great prophecy. We hoped it might not happen for years, but I fear it's starting now. I can't give you proof. It's just a feeling. And like Drew said, some weird stuff is happening. The 7 demigods, whoever they are, have not been gathered yet. I get the feeling some are here tonight. Some are not here. The campers began to stir and mutter, looking at each other nervously, until a drowsy voice in the crowd called out, "I'm here! I'm here!" Oh, were you calling roll? Go back to sleep, Clovis, someone yelled, and a lot of people laughed. Anyway, Rachel continued, we don't know what the Great Prophecy means. We don't know what challenge the demigods will face. But since the first Great Prophecy predicted the Titan War, we can guess the second Great Prophecy will predict something at least that bad. Or worse. Or worse. Or worse, Chiron murmured. Maybe he didn't mean for everyone to overhear, but they did. The campfire immediately turned dark purple, the same color as Piper's dream. What we do know, Rachel said, is that the first phase has begun. A major problem has arisen, and we need a quest to solve it. Hera, the Queen of the Gods, has been taken. Shocked silence. Then 50 demigods started talking at once. Chiron pounded his hoof again, but Rachel still had to wait before she could get their attention again. She told them about the incident on the Grand Canyon skywalk, how Gleason Hedge had sacrificed himself when the storm spirits attacked, and the spirits had warned it was only the beginning. They apparently served some great mistress who would destroy all demigods. Then Rachel told them about Piper passing out in Hera's cabin. Piper tried to keep a calm expression, even when she noticed Drew in the back row, pantomiming a faint, and her friends giggling. Finally, Rachel told them about Jason's vision in the living room of the big house. The message Hera had delivered there was so similar that Piper got a chill. The only difference, Hera had warned Piper not to betray her. Bow to his will, and their king shall rise, dooming us all. Hera knew about the giant's threat. But if that was true, why hadn't she warned Jason and exposed Piper as an enemy agent? Jason, Rachel said, do you remember your last name? He looked self-conscious, but he shook his head. Well, we'll just call you Jason then, Rachel said. It's clear Hera herself has issued you a quest. Rachel paused, as if giving Jason a chance to protest his destiny. Everyone's eyes were on him. There was so much pressure. Piper thought she would have buckled in his position, yet he looked brave and determined. He set his jaw and nodded. I agree. I agree. You must save Hera to prevent a great evil, Rachel continued. Some sort of king from rising, for reasons we don't yet understand. It must happen by the winter solstice, only 4 days from now. That's the council day of the gods, Annabeth said. If the gods don't already know Era's gone, they will definitely notice her absence by then. They'll probably break out fighting, accusing each other of taking her. That's what they usually do.
The winter solstice. The winter solstice,
Chiron spoke up.
is also the time of great darkness. The gods gather that day as mortals always have, because there is strength in numbers. The solstice is a day when evil magic is strong. Ancient magic, older than the gods. It is a day when things stir.
The way he said it, stirring sounded absolutely sinister. Like it should be a first-degree felony, not something you did to cookie dough.
Okay.
Annabeth said, glaring at the centaur.
Thank you, Captain Sunshine. Whatever's going on, I agree with Rachel. Jason has been chosen to lead this quest, so...
Why hasn't he been claimed? Somebody yelled from the Ares cabin. If he's so important...
He has been claimed,
Chiron announced.
long ago. Jason, give them a demonstration. Give them a demonstration.
At first, Jason didn't seem to understand. He stepped forward nervously, but Piper couldn't help thinking how amazing he looked with his blonde hair glowing in the firelight, his regal features like a Roman statue's. He glanced at Piper, and she nodded encouragingly. She mimicked flipping a coin. Jason reached into his pocket. His coin flashed in the air, and when he caught it in his hand, he was holding a lance, a rod of gold about 7 feet long, with a spear tip at one end. The other demigods gasped. Rachel and Annabeth stepped back to avoid the point, which looked sharp as an ice brick.
Wasn't that...
Annabeth hesitated.
I thought you had a sword.
I think it came up tails. It came up tails, I think,
Jason said.
Same coin. Long-range weapon for him.
Dude, I want one!
Yelled somebody from the Ares cabin.
Better than Clarice's electric spear, lamer!
One of his brothers agreed.
Electric.
Jason murmured, like that was a good idea.
Back away.
Annabeth and Rachel got the message. Jason raised his javelin, and thunder broke open the sky. Every hair on Piper's arm stood straight up. Lightning arced down through the golden spear point and hit the campfire with the force of an artillery shell. When the smoke cleared, and the ringing in Piper's ears subsided, the entire camp sat frozen in shock, half blinded, covered in ashes, staring at the place where the fire had been. Cinders rained down everywhere. A burning log had impaled itself a few inches from the sleeping kid Clovis, who hadn't even stirred. Jason lowered his lance.
Sorry.
Chiron brushed some burning coals out of his beard. He grimaced as if his worst fears had been confirmed.
A little overkill, perhaps, but you've made your point. And I believe we know who your father is.
Jupiter, Jason said. I mean, Zeus, Lord of the Sky. Piper couldn't help smiling. It made perfect sense. The most powerful god, the father of all the greatest heroes in the ancient myths. No one else could possibly be Jason's dad. Apparently, the rest of the camp wasn't so sure. Everything broke into chaos, with dozens of people asking questions until Annabeth raised her arms.
Hold it!
She said,
How can he be the son of Zeus? The big three. They're packed not to have mortal kids. How could we not have known about him sooner?
Chiron didn't answer, but Piper got the feeling he knew. And the truth was not good.
The important thing,
Rachel said,
is that Jason here is here now. He has a quest to fulfill, which means he will need his own prophecy.
She closed her eyes and swooned. 2 campers rushed forward and caught her. A third ran to the side of the amphitheater and grabbed a bronze, 3-legged stool, like they'd been trained for this duty. They eased Rachel onto the stool in front of the ruined hearth. Without the fire, the night was so dark. But green mist started swirling around Rachel's feet. When she opened her eyes, they were glowing. Emerald smoke issued from her mouth. The voice that came out was raspy and ancient, the sound a snake would make if it could talk.
Child of lightning, beware the earth. The giant's revenge, the 7 shall birth. The forge and the dove shall break the cage, and death unleash through error's rage.
On the last word, Rachel collapsed, but her helpers were waiting to catch her. They carried her away from the hearth and laid her in the corner to rest.
Is that normal?
Piper asked. Then she realized she'd spoken into the silence and everyone was looking at her.
I mean, does she spew green smoke a lot? Gods, you're dense.
Drew sneered.
She just issued a prophecy? Jason's prophecy to save Era. Why don't you just... Drew,
Annabeth snapped.
Piper asked a fair question. Something about that prophecy definitely isn't normal. If breaking Era's cage unleashes her rage and causes a bunch of death, why would we free her? It might be a trap, or maybe Era will turn on her rescuers. She's never been kind to heroes.
Jason rose. I don't have much of a choice. Era took my memory. I need it back. Besides, we can't just not help the Queen of the Heavens if she's in trouble. A girl from Hephaestus's cabin stood up. Nisa, the one with the red bandana.
Maybe... But you should listen to Annabeth. Era can be vengeful. She threw her own son, our dad, down a mountain just because he was ugly.
Real ugly? Snickered someone from Aphrodite.
Shut up!
Nisa growled.
Anyway, you've also got to think, why beware the earth? And what's the giant's revenge? What are we dealing with here that's powerful enough to kidnap the Queen of the Heavens?
No one answered, but Piper noticed Annabeth and Chiron having a silent exchange. Piper thought it went something like this. Annabeth.
The giant's revenge? No, it can't be.
Chiron.
Don't speak of it here. Don't scare them.
Annabeth, you're kidding me! Can't be that unlucky.
Chiron, later child. If you told them everything, they would be too terrified to proceed.
Piper knew it was crazy to think she could read their expressions so well. Two people she barely knew, but she was absolutely positive she understood them. And it scared the jeebies out of her. Annabeth took a deep breath. It's Jason's quest, she announced. So it's Jason's choice. Obviously, he's the child of lightning. According to tradition, he may choose any two companions. Someone from the Hermes cabin yelled.
Well, you, obviously, Annabeth. You've got the most experience.
No, Travis, Annabeth said. First off, I'm not helping Era. Every time I've tried, she's deceived me. Or it's come back to bite me later. Forget it. No way. Secondly, I'm leaving first thing in the morning to find Percy. It's connected, Piper blurted out, not sure how she got the courage. You know that's true, don't you? This whole business, your boyfriend's disappearance, it's all connected. How? Demanded Drew. If you're so smart, how? Piper tried to form an answer, but she couldn't. Annabeth saved her. You may be right, Piper. If this is connected, I'll find out from the other end. By searching for Percy. As I said, I'm not about to rush off to rescue Era, even if her disappearance sets the rest of the Olympians fighting again. But there's another reason I can't go. The prophecy says otherwise.
It says who I pick, Jason agreed. The Forge and Dove shall break the cage. The Forge is the symbol of Vul, Hephaestus. Under the Cabin 9 banner, Nisa's shoulders slumped, like she'd just been given a heavy anvil to carry. If you have to be where the Earth, she said, you should avoid traveling over land. You'll need air transport. Piper was about to call out that Jason could fly, but then she thought better of it. That was for Jason to tell them. He wasn't volunteering the information. Maybe he figured he'd freak them out enough for... Maybe he figured he'd freaked them out enough for one night. The flying chariot's broken, Nisa continued, and the Pegasi, we're using them to search for Percy. But maybe Hephaestus' cabin can help figure out something else to help. With Jake incapacitated, I'm senior camper. I can volunteer for the quest. She didn't sound enthusiastic. Then Leo stood up. He'd been so quiet, Piper had almost forgotten he was there. Which was totally not like Leo. It's me, he said. His cabin mates stirred. Several tried to pull him back to his seat, but Leo resisted. No. It's me. I know it is. I've got an idea for the transportation problem. Let me try. I can fix this. I can fix this. Jason studied him for a moment. Piper was sure he was going to tell Leo no. Then he smiled. We started this together, Leo. Seems only right you come along.
You find us a ride, you're in. Yes! Leo pumped his fist.
It'll be dangerous,
Nisa warned him.
hardship, monsters, terrible suffering. Probably none of you will come back alive.
Oh. Suddenly, Leo didn't look so excited. Then he remembered everybody was watching. I mean... Oh, cool. Suffering? I love suffering. Let's do this. Annabeth nodded.
Then, Jason, you only need to choose the third quest member. The dove. Oh, absolutely.
Drew was on her feet and flashing Jason a smile.
The dove is Aphrodite. Everyone knows that. I am totally yours.
Piper's hands clenched. She stepped forward.
No.
Drew rolled her eyes.
Oh, please, dumpster girl. Back off. I had a vision of Hera, not you. I have to do this. Anyone can have a vision,
Drew said.
You're just at the right place at the right time.
She turned to Jason.
Look, fighting is all fine, I suppose. And people who build things...
She looked at Leo in disdain.
Well, I suppose someone has to get their hands dirty. But you need charm on your side. I can be very persuasive. I could help a lot.
The campers started murmuring about how Drew was pretty persuasive. Piper could see Drew winning them over. Even Chiron was scratching his beard, like Drew's participation suddenly made sense to him.
Well,
Annabeth said,
given the wording of the prophecy... No! No!
Piper's own voice sounded strange in her ears. More insistent. A richer tone.
I'm supposed to go. I'm supposed to go.
Then the weirdest thing happened. Everyone started nodding, muttering that, Piper's point of view made sense too. Drew looked around incredulous. Even some of her own campers were nodding.
Get over it!
Drew snapped at the crowd.
What can Piper do?
Piper tried to respond, but her confidence started to wane. What could she offer? B-dubs. Gosh dang it. And yo, Doug Dimmadome, I was honored to have you here. I hope to see that Dougalicious Dimmadomian here once again at another stream. What could she offer? She wasn't a fighter, or a planner, or a fixer. She had no skill except getting into trouble and occasionally convincing people to do stupid things. Plus, she was a liar. She needed to go on this quest for reasons that went way beyond Jason. And if she did go, she'd end up betraying everyone there. She heard that voice from the dream.
Do our bidding, and you may walk out alive.
How could she make a choice like that? Between helping her father and helping Jason?
Well,
Drew said smugly.
I guess that settles it.
Suddenly, there was a collective gasp. Everyone stared at Piper like she'd just exploded. She wondered what she'd done wrong. Then she realized there was a reddish glow around her. "What?" she demanded. She looked above her, but there was no burning symbol like the one that appeared over Leo. Then she looked down and yelped. Her clothes. What in the world was she wearing? She despised dresses. She didn't own a dress. But now she was adorned in a beautiful white, sleeveless gown that went down to her ankles, with a V-neck so low it was totally embarrassing. Delicate gold armbands circled her biceps. An intricate necklace of amber, coral, and gold flowers glittered on her chest, and her hair. "Oh God," she said. "What's happened?" A stunned Annabeth pointed at Piper's dagger, which was now oiled and gleaming, hanging at her side on a golden cord. Piper didn't want to draw it. She was afraid of what she would see. But her own curiosity won out. She unsheathed Catoptris and stared at her reflection in the polished metal blade. Her hair was perfect, lush and long and chocolate brown, braided with gold ribbons down one side so it fell across her shoulder. She even wore makeup, better than Piper would ever know how to do herself. Subtle touches that made her lips cherry red and brought out all the different colors in her eyes. She was beautiful, Jason exclaimed. "Piper, you're a knockout." Under different circumstances, that would have been the happiest moment of her life. But now, everyone was staring at her like she was a freak. Drew's face was full of horror and revulsion. "No!" she cried. "Not possible!" "This isn't me," Piper protested. I don't understand." Chiron the centaur folded his front legs and bowed to her, and all the campers followed his example.
"Hail, Piper McLean! Hail! Hail, Piper McLean!"
Chiron announced gravely, as if he were speaking at her funeral.
"Daughter of Aphrodite, Lady of the Doves, Goddess of Love. Hail, Piper McLean, daughter of Aphrodite, Lady of the Doves, Goddess of Love."
Watch this. Dragon! Hey, yo, watch this. That dragon over there? I got it. Yeah, P-dubs, you called it. I feel like that's a bit of a spoiler, but also kind of not. It's fairly easy to determine what Leo's plan is. Oh shoot, dude, I went over time. Heck, so sorry guys. I kind of expected this to happen though with the raid and all. Man. Gosh, that chapter, dude. Hang on, I want to read through that prophecy one more time before we head on. Just because the first time it was all, "Child of lightning, beware the earth." It was in that, like, spooky, the spooky, like, gravel voice. "Child of lightning, beware the earth. The giant's revenge, the seven shall birth. The forge and dove shall break the cage, and death unleash through Era's rage. Gosh, dude, what could that mean? So, Jason's got to watch out for the Earth. The giant's revenge, the seven shall birth. Got no idea what that means. It's got to have something to do with, like, whoever this giant is and the seven gods, right? The seven main gods. The forging dove shall break the cage. So Leo and Piper are gonna break Era out. But then once she's broken out, it's gonna unleash Era's rage that will result in death. Yikes, dude. Man, and that, I remember when I first came across the whole fact that the next great prophecy was already upon them. I was freaking out, dude. Cause we're coming from, like, this is the first book back, like, into the series. And already, I mean, like, this is the thing to do, right? To, like, draw in a reader. Is to just have the main character of the last books become lost and in an unknown location. Have the gods just freaking have the gods just close themselves off. Have a mystery of a guy who seems incredibly important but doesn't remember anything about himself or who he is or where he comes from. And yeah, dude, oh man, and top that off with not only the fact that the next great prophecy is coming up, has started, but top that off with a new prophecy that's just as confusing and and gosh, dude, goodness, sorry, I could go on, but I gotta bounce. Didn't that other prophecy mention 7? Oh, that's right. Yo, P-dubs, you're right. I'm not thinking, it's not the gods. It's the 7 demigods. Dang. So we know Annabeth and Percy, so long as Percy's still alive and not just missing. You know, Annabeth and Percy are gonna be a part of that 7. I'm pretty positive. And it appears Leo, Piper, and Jason will be as well. But who are the others? Could it be Thalia? Could it be anyone from the previous books? Or is it gonna be new folks? I feel like Nico, probably. The others are demigods. I know that for sure. Yikes, dude. Oh, man. Whew. Man. Well, guys, alright. I gotta do my outro and get on out of here. And Drew? Well, we hates the witch. It's true, dude. I have a feeling, though, it's gonna be one of those situations where they bring you to hate her, only to bring in, like, a redeeming factor for her later on in the story. I don't know for sure if that happens, but that's my guess. It's my prediction right now. I hope not. Come on, P-dubs. It's a bit harsh. I sure hope not. Oh gosh. God, in that moment, dude, when Piper gets claimed, I forgot that it's so different from how everyone else gets claimed. Because normally just an emblem pops up above the head, right? But with Piper, she got like the full treatment. Started glowing and stuff. Gosh. Alright guys, sorry. We can talk more about it tomorrow, hopefully. Or possibly Monday.
So look out for tomorrow. We got Fantasy Friday. Gonna be reading through some fantastic stories. You are onto something, is the least I can say. I had a great time tonight. And I hope you did. Hope you did to enjoy the rest of your night. And see you for the next stream. Thanks so much, Doug Dimmadome. Owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Gotta say, man, I'm a big fan of yours. I hope I can get an autograph from you someday. And I'm so glad you enjoyed the stream. Honest to goodness. Yeah, man, this was super fun. Soup's fun. Oh, and also, just since we got a fair amount of peeps here, if you ever want to know what better TTV emotes you can use on this channel, you can type in !better. It'll give you the full list of them. Yes, and feel free to mosey down into the meadow. We got our community of literature-loving lads and ladies. Heck yeah! Sorry, hit me with that outro music. All right, much love to all of you guys out there. Yeah, Silly Sammy, P-Dubs, May, Doug Dimmadome. All you guys, thanks so much for coming, and heck yeah, I hope you enjoy your time in the Discord, yo. And yeah, I hope to see you tomorrow for some Fantasy Friday. Tomorrow is the first day of the weekend where I do a bunch of short stories, so it's more of like a bite-sized type of stream, rather than this stream where it's a long-standing series. Alright, cool beans. I'm gonna go relax, chill for the rest of my night, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Remember to take the merriment that we were able to muster tonight, and let it set your heart at ease, and let it flourish into tomorrow. I love you guys lots, and thanks again to G-Man. Thank you so much to G-Man 102 again for the raid. It really made my night. Alright, I'll check the Discord. Bye guys. Till next time. Keep on swaying, wildflowers.